Welcome to the PDX files. Each week we dive into the world of the weird and the unexplained here in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. My name is Peej.
And I'm Mac.
Mac, what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're kind of following up a little bit on our last episode where we talked a little bit UFO, UAP kind of topics. So this one is going to be, I guess, not local because it's Eastern Oregon's. If you don't know Oregon, it's probably about like a 6-hour drive to where this is. But we're going to talk a little bit about cattle mutilations because that is something that is fairly common in Oregon, I guess.
Right on. So we've got a video that we're going to show as usual, and get it going here in a second.
This is Hannibal from thehannibaltv.com. According to reports, extraterrestrial involvement has not been ruled out in the mysterious killing and mutilation of 5 dead bulls worth approximately $7,000 each that were found within a 24-hour period this past July 30th and 31st at Sylvie's Valley's Ranch in Oregon, and the bulls were found about a quarter-mile apart from each other. There were no signs of struggle wounds on the bulls. Their genitals and tongues had been carefully removed, with all blood taken out of the animal and the rest of the carcass totally untouched. These were 4- and 5-year-old heifered bulls in the prime of their productive lives. So
I was enjoying the guy's Canadian accent there a little bit too much. Out. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of and he was talking about July 31st, but this is about 4 years ago when this actual video came out. So I guess 2020 is kind of what this time period is. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of has all those kind of classic signs and symptoms of a cattle mutilation. So that draining of blood, taking out of genitals, certain and very surgical in the way it goes. I've heard some explanations have been, well, it's some sort of it's an animal that's able to do that. I don't know about that. It could be like some sort of natural way that it's decaying that makes it look like that. But the draining of the blood is a really weird thing. And so, I sort of growing up around in Oregon, you certainly have heard of this. Certainly further out east and in Central Oregon where those ranches are. So it's a really weird. I'm not sure how it ended up on Hannibal TV. I just now noticed that he's like a wrestling guy, which I don't know. I probably have to follow him for more of his stuff on wrestling. But definitely an interesting story.
Yep, and it's and to your point, it's not something that should mimic easily like just a normal decay because there's specific body parts that were removed, right?
Right. Yeah, that the genitals and I can't remember the other part he
The
said.
tongue and the
Yeah, there we go.
guys, like the fleshy, like the soft fleshy, and it almost seems like what the vultures normally go for first. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, but you don't expect to see it to be that clean. They've also
Exactly.
speculated that it could be like a cult or like some sort of satanic cult or something other than maybe not satanic, but could be responsible for that. I can't imagine it being pranksters. I mean, I don't know what you're trying to like, how much fun that is.
Yeah, like stick with the crop circles. All right, so
exactly.
let's go on with the video.
All right.
So this has caused a multi-agency investigation in Eastern Oregon. But after 2 months of investigation, detectives still haven't turned up any leads or settled on a cause of death. There was no trace evidence, no footprints, no broken limbs on the animals, and there was no obvious reason someone would want to take those parts of the animals, as there isn't any black market sales, according to authorities, for those particular parts of the bulls. and you could get those parts at a slaughterhouse for little to nothing. According to reports, the deaths are similar to a rash of livestock killings and mutilations that took place across the West in the 1970s, where hundreds of cows and bulls turned up dead, also seemingly from unknown causes, with their genitals and tongues missing. Those situations were investigated with nothing formally found other than they were all killed by the same type of predators. Animals would leave obvious signs of tearing.
So as he was talking, I realized that I did find an article that kind of it was from the AP actually back in 2021. At Prineville, Oregon, kind of a similar area to this. There was another seven bulls had been found mutilated on ranch land in Central Oregon's Crook County. Exactly the same thing. There is no blood. The sex organs and the tongue and eyes were cut away cleanly. And then there was also another case, but I didn't even know that this was. I knew it was like fairly common. I didn't know how common. There's another one in 2019 where there was 5 of them in a 2-mile radius. Again, exactly the same kind of case, exactly the same types of things that happen. Because he was talking about something like the 1970s. That got me thinking for a second. It's like, no, this is much more recent than that. So, clearly the phenomena, whatever is going on, whatever if it's natural, if it's a cult, some sort of animal with a surgical knife going around doing things, it's been going on for more than just this particular case. So anyway,
Well, I think,
bring that to attention.
well, I think it was mentioned, I think earlier in the clip, that there is no signs of struggle
right
from the animals. So if it were, obviously if it were surgically removed, the animals would have had to be sedated first. If it was like
Right.
a prank, like I was saying, or I mean, actually, probably shouldn't call it a prank. It's a crime. But
It is a crime because it's like a financial.
oh
Although
yeah,
even what he was
7,000.
saying though, yeah,
Yeah,
but the parts that they were taking was like it's not something that you can make money on, right? So they left all the stuff that you can actually make money on with the
exactly.
cow.
Although the picture here of the cow, I mean, that's like deflated almost.
Yeah, I don't think that's actually a good. That's not a real photo of a. That's something like a cow you might see just like dead out there in the wild.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
Google image.
Yeah, there are plenty of images though out there. I mean, people should, if they're interested, should go check it out. But it is interesting to me that that these things can still happen even today, even with the technology. I mean, a lot of ranchers actually do have a fairly advanced technology. They're kind of try to watch over their animals, right? They have to take care of that investment. They say there was
Sure.
$7,000 each at 7, so that's like what, $50,000, roughly $49,000. That's a lot of money. And even though this maybe is 4 or 5 years ago, inflation hasn't been that crazy.
Right.
To where so it's very very similar in value, but yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And even in this the AP article, they were talking about theories ranging from scavengers, which is carrion bugs. That was what I was trying to think. It was a carrion bug eating carcasses, or the other one was people attacking animals to cause financial harm to ranchers. So maybe like
Sure.
a PETA wouldn't do that. So maybe like a rival rancher or something like that. It's very weird that these things are still happening in 2024.
Yeah. Should we go on?
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
All right.
Of claws, teeth, and possible broken bones. However, there was no signs of bullet holes on the animal, and it appears they would have likely had to have been killed with knives, judging by the precision cuts that were made on the bulls. However, there was no sign of a struggle, and these are very big animals. That's why many believe that these killings could be related to UFOs due to there being no marks, no blood left around the animals, no tire tracks, tire marks, or ATV tracks. And authorities don't believe that these animals died from natural causes. And they were all bulls, which accounts for only 5 to 6% of the total herd of animals on the ranch. Investigators and law enforcement suspect that the bulls were killed and have advised ranch hands to travel in pairs and to stay armed well on the property.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being a rancher out there where this has happened to you. So you're, old school cowboys or maybe new school cowboys, I guess, riding ATVs instead of horses, going out there and finding something like that. That'd be pretty damn creepy.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to settle on not doing that job. But what do you think?
Well, I mean, it certainly doesn't sound natural, but I'm also not around cows all the time. So I don't know if this is like something that does happen periodically or like cyclically, like every year and a half or something. But the whole cow mutilation, first of all, I was reading a little bit. It doesn't just happen to bulls or cows. It also
Right.
happens to sheep, to horses, to rabbits. So these kinds of things do happen. I'm sorry, to other animals, but I guess the point of this whole clip was, and the point of it being all of a sudden, getting into the zeitgeist at the time is because it was all happening a lot in a short stretch of time, probably, right?
Yeah, and it,
In the
it does
70s.
happen all over the world. I mean, it's not just here, right? So, I mean, I
Well,
would say that it's more here than it is overseas as far as
yeah,
the cattle mutilations goes, and just as much as like the crop circles are kind of more of an England or European thing.
European. Well,
Yeah.
I was reading also a little bit that so kind of similarly, there were also in the early to mid 70s, there were also livestock killings that happened in Puerto Rico.
Oh.
But that one right there, oh, actually, it's almost very similar to what we're talking about here as possible UFO, UFO related phenomenon in Puerto Rico because of their culture. They were actually, um, uh, I guess, theorizing that it's because of the chupacabra. Okay, which is kind of a
Uh,
mythical creature. Well, you've heard
we're
of it, right? The
we're
chupacabra.
we're gonna do an episode on that one of these days for sure. But
So
yes,
it's
I
kind of
have heard that. Yeah.
interesting that, I mean, the only similarity with a chupacabra is that it only does the exsanguination. It only drinks the blood, like it drains the animal of blood, but it leaves
The
the
rest
rest of
of it,
the
yeah.
animal alone.
Yeah, so it's such a weird kind of dynamic with that. It's like is it a naturally occurring thing? I I don't think so. Doesn't feel like it's something has to be responsible for it. But the fact that there's no tracks, especially with the ATVs or even horse tracks around it, you would expect to see something like that. And if it was done with knives, I mean, they weigh like like 1,000 pounds. I'm not going to go at that thing with a knife, even if it's not a bull. That just seems like a bad idea. So,
Yeah.
but then I also try to think, okay, what would aliens need with with bulls or cows or sheep or whatever? Why are they doing it in this manner, right? Why would they drain the blood? Why would they cut out certain organs? I mean, the sexual organs, I guess I can sort of understand maybe from like trying to replicate some sort of I don't know, a human animal hybrid or something like that from it, but it just doesn't make any sense. And then just the fact that there's no real natural explanation for it. It's definitely one of those things that you can go a lot of different directions with it. I don't know. It's one of those that's unknown. I don't think there's a satisfactory explanation that I've
No,
seen.
exactly. It's not easily explained by any means, for sure. And I think in terms of it being UFO related, it's
Maybe,
definitely, like I said, it's not easily explained, but I don't know if I will jump directly to UFO
yeah.
related, reasons for this. I mean, unless there's like an alien race of cows, of intelligent cows that, like, well, let's compare ourselves to the cows of Earth type of situation, or if it were an alien, if it were UFO related and there was an alien race that's doing all of these things and you know, picking and taking out certain body parts and all of the blood, I can only imagine that it's, they're doing experiments of some sort where,
Yeah.
whether they be, genetic, genetic modification or and whatnot. I think that's the only, if it were UFO related.
Yeah, that's one thing I can think of too, because I don't, and unless they're just trying to like fuck with us and our mindset, trying to scare us in a way. It is scary. I mean, if you ran into something like that, I wouldn't be scared, but I'd be like, well, this is interesting. This just escalated quickly.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but again, it'd be interesting to find out a little bit about the chupacabra as well, because in terms of, you know, what if it were? I mean, what's funny is that what if the chupacabra is actually more feasible and more plausible than aliens? And it's like, well, then we'd have to reconcile with the fact that we think chupacabras are real as
Right.
well. So
Right, and that's like another whole that's like a whole other thing. This is the reason why the whole lore of the Academy Mutilations, you can go down any kind of rabbit hole that you want to there, spend lots of hours researching and finding all sorts of different reasons. I mean, if you're a science hack, if you're into more of the paranormal, as we are with the Chupacabra, if you're into cults, there's all sorts of different things that you can. There's all sorts of different flavors of this story that kind of match up with hopefully like-minded individuals out there like ourselves.
absolutely. Well, if you enjoyed this content, please give it a like and share it across your socials to help get the word out about our show. If you hadn't already done so, please subscribe. And on YouTube, click that little bell icon to make sure that you're notified every time we post a new video. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.